Hi everybody, we're back. Torso is finished, somewhat of course. There's a little bit to go on the back here, but the manual says that comes later. So I'm going to put the torso aside and we're going to work on the legs. Now the legs, they're going to take a while. It's probably the biggest project of this kit. And everything for the most part when you start is listed as ×2. I don't know if you can see that, ×2. So it means I'm building two things at the same time, which makes sense because I'm building legs. And the unicorn's legs, or its feet at least to start, they are pretty symmetrical. So I'm going with the U runner here. Here's the U runner. And I'm going to need two of these. So first thing I need is U15. I can see them there. This is all frame. It doesn't indicate right now that anything is undergated. Well, this piece isn't, but we'll look at the next piece, U10. It has me take off U10, which is quite large. And oh, there are undergates on U10. So I gotta make sure I get those. All right. Oh, tricky. There's an undergate here, but you have this angle coming down, so it might not be so easy to get. I'll get most of it with my cutter, and I will come in afterwards with the, oops, that's not good. Coming afterwards with my knife. So let's just clean up that undergate a little bit. This part here is more important. Undergates are fine, but make sure I can get them off of there fairly easily, Bandai. Now PC parts, I need two PC13, so let me find those on here. PC19, PC13, here they are on the side. I think I might just build 1 foot in front of the camera, and then I'll get to the other ones, the other second one, kind of off camera, just to kind of speed the video up, because if I'm building the same thing twice, you don't need to see it, I think. You just need to see the assembly of one and the final result. Okay, this is kind of tricky with my big thumbs here. Get it in there. Okay, let's turn this around so it's the right angle. That will have to do for now. Okay, with that, I'm supposed to drop this one into here like this. So, let's push it on. And I guess you know what you're seeing here, eh? This is going to turn up, right? Here's my foot. That can turn up like this, or I guess even turn down. Turn down like that. Pretty stiff. Pretty nice. Okay. U14 and U11. Here's U14. U11. Hey you. Hey U11. The assembly of the master grade unicorn's legs I thought was the most fun out of that whole project, so it's kind of cool that I get to go back in and do it just on a larger scale with more parts. PC12. PC12 is going to drop with the flat edge. It's not completely round, but there's a flat edge, and the flat edge is meant to go up. So let's see if I can get that correct. Good. And into PC11, you see that little hollow here. On this side, it's a little wider. That's where you're going to have another PC part. So PC11 will go in there. This one seems to be the same shape all the way around. Okay, I got that in here. Now I can just kind of drop it in. Now the angle looks pretty confusing from what I'm seeing here. It looks like it's just sits on here. Sorry guys, give me a second here, because of course I've never done this before. It looks like it's okay. There's the peg, and there is a hollow in there. It's kind of hard to see. So drop that in like so. It does rest kind of in there. Nothing's really securing it in there, but that's when you pop on this part. Now there are undergates I need to take off on this one as well. Like that. And I can just drop it on. So let's make sure I got it lined up. There you go. Now there's foot frame. Let's look at the next part. We're using a lot of the U runner here, which is not surprising. I mean, we are working on the foot, and the frame will always be assembled before the armor. So 18 and 19. There's 18 and 19, but I do get a different runner now. This is the M runner, and there's an M2 runner as well. And the part I'm working on is going to be, of course, these. Look at the size of those. That's awesome. So M4. These gates are really, really narrow compared to the frame ones. But there is some undergating as well, right in here. Okay. Let's do this properly. First thing, slide this in here. This one from this side. Meet in the middle here. Good. Now I'm supposed to push this all the way under, you know that, and then drop the armor piece on. Click, click, click. It's looking pretty good, like, right? Difference in height isn't too bad. Okay, now from there, I'm going to grab several more U parts and of course PC parts. So I have to go with U3, and U3 seems to be a smaller one. It is a joint of some kind. I'll put it right here, everybody can see U3. And I need PC7 and PC21. So here's PC21 and PC7 up here. This is an interesting looking poly cap. It doesn't quite sit level, right? You can see a little, how they say, rise above the edge there. Not quite level like I'm used to seeing, but this will drop in like this way. And then on this side, I'm putting the PC21. Here we go. Like this. Okay, now I need a U24. So let me find that. First one I was looking at. That's a big gate mark. That is a big gate mark. You can kind of still see it in there. This is not too worried about, of course, because I know something's going to go over top of there. This one looks like it is meant to be undergated, so I can take off that. Now, with this like this, I'm supposed to take this assembly that I just made and kind of slide it in this way, like so. Just rest there, and then I'm going to take its opposite piece, which is 25. Again, big gate marks on this guy. And an undergate. 25, and I'll close it up here. Like this. Alright, that's kind of cool, but I'm an idiot. I'm supposed to put it in this little poly cap first. Right. Close that up. It can drop in there like so. Sits a little bit above. It doesn't say, I can see it's got a groove here and, like, you know, tiny little kind of pegs. So if I push it down hard enough, it will kind of drop into that slot. But I'm not supposed to do that yet, it says. So let's get the next pieces I need, which is number 17. And a G part, which is U12, sorry, let me get U12. U12. And I will need K2 and G6. So I've got the G runner right here, I might as well find G6. It is, of course, very big. Very large parts. Here's the G6. And K was the frame runner for the most of the leg parts, and it's supposed to be K2, so let me cut that off too, and I'll have to prep these pieces. Come on. Undergates even on the Psycho frame. That is pretty cool. Fairly large ones too. Okay, and I think this one's got it as well. Try not to stumble here, but it adds to the work when you have to deal with undergates. But the overall effect it gives you is much nicer. You know, the less nub marks you can see, the better the result. And of course, with the money people are having to pay for this kit, the less undergates, or the more undergates, the better. The less nubs. This is going to snake under here, like this. Now, why didn't they have me put it on after when I could see it a little better what I'm trying to do? But looks like it's supposed to go right face down, so I'll pop it in there like that. And then I have to put this part on the front here. This does cover up a couple nubs. Looks pretty nice. And now I'm supposed to, boom, push it in. Now this is not going anywhere. All right, this is in. Like that, okay. It's even more up. Okay, and then G goes onto the back. So, try to line up my grooves here. Is that it? Just slides on like that? That's all. That was pretty easy. Seems that it'll just come off, but I guess it's going to be held on by something else. It kind of just sits in there. There's no indication that it's supposed to like snap in or anything, so I'm going to assume that that's the extent to which it goes. So now I'm going back to this M runner, you know, the big one, big blue. Now blue plastic, the Bandai plastic, has a tendency to leave some interesting gate marks, you know, and even when you try to shave them down with your design knife, you can usually notice that, you know, where the gates are. Luckily we have undergates here, and even when there's not undergates, this peg is really, really, really small, so you're not going to notice it so much. Thank you, Bandai. So I'm kind of, I know I want to clean that edge up, but you have to be careful because I can take off more plastic than I need to, and then it's even more noticeable. That's good enough for me. And on this one, am I seeing undergates? No, just make sure it's all smooth. That's a peg, but not an undergate. Okay. Gotta make sure it's gonna close. That gate was in an interesting spot. Okay. So I'm gonna put this on from the bottom here. Yep, and this on from the top. That was easy, no problem. Look at that size of that foot. That's awesome. Okay, now grabbing more of this G runner, the white runner, I'm going to grab armor. Lots of armor. So, first things first. The main cover of the foot. There's some details in here. You'll have to get in here with your panel line marker or your wash after and, you know, add those, bring those lines out if you choose. The unicorn, especially in unicorn mode, being all white, can use some panel lines to kind of bring out more detail, give it more definition. But of course, when you're building it, it's all up to you what you want to do. Drop that in there. Now I have to assemble the side pegs, or the side armor flaps, or whatever you want to call them. So I'll take the white parts first. These are undergated as well. Thank goodness, because that is a monster gate right there. Now let me take a minute to clean these up here. Smooth. That actually worked out really well. And there's a couple of gates I'm not really satisfied with, so I'm going to use my design knife just to tidy them up. It is on the underside of things, so it might not be so noticeable, but this is going to go out on display, so I gotta make sure it's as clean as I can get it. So, looking at this very carefully, make sure I got the right thing. Goes like this here. Kind of slide that in there. This one as well. There we go. Now these are supposed to, of course, just kind of pop on here, I guess. But there's other parts I am meant to put on first. So I need to grab G9 and G10. So I got the runner here. And these will go into this hollow here. And you can see they're actually molded with the ball joint on. So let me just take those off. That one just fell off. They're sticking up quite a bit. So when this kit gets moved around or packed up, this frame will flex a little bit. So here we go, there's the ball joint now. Very, very easy to see. Under gates everywhere. Gonna need my design knife. Okay, this one had one I wanted to remove. There it is. Good times. Okay, so I'm gonna pop these on first. So these ones go on first. One, like that. Two, like that. And then these ones will go on afterwards. So pop this on. Pop this on. There you go. And now the next part, I have to kind of build that ankle flap to cover up the cycle frame. So let me, let me move this over here and get the parts I need, because I'm going back to the U runner here. So I need, what they indicate is U13, U7, and U9. Or 6, sorry. So here's 7 and 6. 7, 6 are here. I'm going to need U8, so I might as well take it while I'm here. And U9, here's U9. And U13, so. U13 is this guy right here. Looks like I'm going to be all out of the U-runner parts almost by the time I finish the foot here. Let me clean up undergates everywhere. So I got 2 on this side. 1, 2, 3. Any undergates on this? Nope. Any undergates on this? Nope. But these ones should have some. That one actually doesn't, but this one doesn't as well. Okay, so I will need G3, so I will get that out as well right here. In the manual it looks kind of small, but when you get this G runner in your hand, it's quite big, which is of course awesome, because I'm building a PG here. And I like to know that, yep, I'm definitely building a PG. Just by holding onto that runner, I know where I am. I know what I'm doing. I know what must be done. Okay, so first things first, I'll drop this in from above and it can stay there. Let me get this little joint finished here. There is little kind of a gap here, hard to see probably, but it's meant to be kind of at the back, so I have to build it, this little assembly, like this. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is with this, there you are, you stay there. This one, these ball joints have to drop. Sorry, try to give you a good shot here. We've got these little ball joints on the inside, they go right into here and kind of hold it on there. Then this thing will close up like this. It does have a little bit of motion this way because it's not one solid piece. You got 2 ball joints, So if you want to, like, instead of having your foot face on, if you want to turn your unicorn foot outwards, you'll get a little bit of this kind of motion as well to kind of allow the armor piece to move the same direction the foot is, which is really cool because this will attach to the upper leg or the lower leg, I believe. Okay, so next step, I think I'm going to build the ankle joint. Let me get more parts here. I need U1 and U2. Oh, really, U2? You need you. Here's U1 and U2. I'll have to get some undergates off of that. I will need U26, which looks like a polycap, but it's actually the huge, in the manual it looks small, but it's actually this huge ankle part here, so grab that. And what I'm going to do while I'm here is actually grab U16, so I know I'll be needing this too. So step one, let's get all these undergates off this thing. That's okay. How are my edges on these pieces? Look pretty good. These are going to go inside anyway, so what I need to do is I need to take this piece, and they say palm 5. Now remember palm from the torso. These are the plastic pieces that look like polycaps, but they are far less flexible, and they'll create that stiffness in the joints. So I need number 5, and it is going to go in here like this. And I need PC2 right here, and it is going to go onto here. They say put this onto here. Even though it's polycap, you gotta put some effort into this thing to get it on there, right? So with this thing I've just assembled, what I'm going to do is slide the polycap in from this side. Come on, you. Get in there. Use the force, Sid. Force it in there. That's what I want to see. Boom. Okay. And then this piece will go on here. Now this is, of course, meant to be a joint, but it is really stiff already. Really stiff. Like this. So I'll try to work it around a little bit here. Okay, so with this and this part here, what I meant to do is put polycaps in here. So polycap 6 and 6 here. 6 and 6 are right here. Six and 6. And I'm also meant to get U22 and U23, which are these ones here. There we go. And of course undergates. So let me take a moment to get these off of here. Just on the edges, not on the top. This is supposed to go together already, so let me put these together. Like so. Looking very familiar, isn't it? I do have one more kind of tough assembly to do here. You just saw it, but it's for like the bottom part of this joint. Come on. Okay, take those here. Let me get the parts I need, which are 27, no, 4 and 5, and then 27. Here's 4. Palm 5. And PC2. Alright, use the ones I just used, but these parts are slightly different shape, right? So Let's make sure I do this correctly. I also need the 27 here. So one thing I didn't mention before, I'll mention it now. This little piece has this tiny little kind of edge, only on one half of that end of the peg. Make sure that's pointing up, Bandai says. So, actually, sorry, on this one, pointed down. It was pointing up on the previous one, now it's pointing down. So, this piece and the palm piece, which are this one, go on this side. All right, and then the big piece and the PC piece go on this. Come on, you. Let's line this up properly. Okay, let's push you in there. Okay. Very, very, very stiff. Which is good when you start out. You want this thing to be solid. Like so. Okay, now I gotta take these joints and I gotta put this final thing together here. So I take this and the top part I made, this little peg, this little small peg goes in here. And the big peg is going to go in here, but I need to get this one, small peg in, like so. It's going to sit there like this, and now I got to put this on. So, give me a sec here. Line it up. Push. Push. Snap. Okay, and you can see the pegs. One point's up, one point's down. Now, I got to turn the page of the manual and see what's next. Give me 1 second here. Okay, welcome back, guys. I took a moment to, turn the page of the manual and look ahead, but also build my other foot. So I got the foot done, and I'm going to show you this last little step here. You just have to put, this little ball joint in this circle here, and then drop it down from the top. So here we go. Clunk. There you go. There's the unicorn foot. If you look kind of from this angle, you can see the cycle frame just tucked in there. But from these angles, like how it would stand normally, you don't get that view. And once it comes time to start transforming them and whatnot, well, we'll get to that. We'll do the destroy mode unveil a little later on. But for now, I'm going to continue on with the legs, putting these over here. And I need the Q runner now. First two parts are these. It looks like obviously I'm making a hip joint of some kind, but let me just get all the pieces I need here. I am going to have to there are undergates in some of these parts, of course, but I'm going to need to get a bunch of polycaps because this is a very important joint for our unicorn friend here. Let me cut these off here. So I've got this piece, I've got this piece, I've got this piece. So first step here is POM 3, POM 3, which is this guy right here. Only one on this runner. And it's going to kind of plug in here. So let me do it from this side. Push it in, and POM 4 on the other side of the joint here. Plugs in on this side. What a surprise. But it's actually very loose. Just kind of, oh, it's PC4, not POM 4. My goodness. Somebody should be fired. PC4. I'm a little ahead of myself here. That's better. Dropping that in there. Now, this middle part here, I do have to put in PC1 and then a POM piece. So PC1 is this right here, and then POM 11. Another very unique shape there. Let's clean this up. Okay, so first things first, I have to slide this in. I guess as far as it's going to go, and then cover it up with this. So make sure I get the edge right. This is going to be like this, it says, and I'm pushing all the way in, all the way in. Okay, so with that and that, I then drop it in here. So pushing on this side. It's always difficult, especially with the parts when they're rounded like this. Snap! Cool. And this little color here goes right on there, like that. I like that. It's cool. If you were to do some kind of painting, even that end, you'd have a neat little effect. But I'm going to put this ball joint off to the side here. I'm supposed to make a second one, but for now we're just going to work on one leg because everything still is ×2 until it indicates that it's not. So we're going to go ×2 right now. So I do need this monster fin here, this back armor piece, which is G11. It looks like you're going to be getting kind of the sections ready instead of actually going full on assemble. You'll just cut out parts and make little sub-assemblies and then start slapping those kind of things together. So let's get all our gate marks off of here as best we can. Okay, and K is of course this runner, and I need K4, which is this big fella here. K4. Looks like we got a little bit of what could be considered undergates on that edge there. So I'm going to take that, and I need Q3, back to my Q runner here. Q number 3, which is a thruster. Look at these thrusters. They're huge. And G5. G5 is actually this white. Let me just clean these up. Not bad, not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, so I'm supposed to slide this up into here. It's a new thing we're seeing more often in like the new Gundam version Ka and the high news and Sasabis and whatnot. And then I'm plugging it onto the end here. Snap, and then I'm gonna just drop it in here. You're gonna make 2 of these, of course, but we'll just do 1 for now. Smash. Okay, now we gotta get T17. Now I've got the T runner right here. It's another frame runner. And T17 is this big bad boy right here. Getting into some big PG size parts here. And then U28, going back to my U runner. U28. There's 2 U28s. And tricky angle to get at, so make sure you got your design knife handy. You need to do that. 20 and F9. F9, I believe this is the F runner. Not a big runner, but you can see it's got the parts you're going to need. F9 happens to be this one here. Undergates. Okay, so with these, what I'm going to do is make sure it's clean. Make sure it's clean here. Yep. This plugs into the bottom. Of course, it's just going to snap on there. When you do the MG unicorn, this piece actually goes on last, plunk, but this is going on first. That's easy enough to lay in there. Need some more parts here, so I need the T18 and T24. T18. T24. And K15 and 16. K15 and 16 are these things, right? K15 and 16. Right here. It's hard to read these numbers. K15 and 16. Now, are there undergates on K15 and 16? No, there are not. So let's just make sure I got them in the right part here. K15 and 16. This one I meant to come up from this angle and clip onto here and then fold under. So this will move when you start changing forms, right? Clip that on there. It then goes into right here. Into there like that. This isn't necessarily the easiest thing to understand. So please bear with me. It looks like these parts are supposed to like kind of go on after and kind of hide under there. Ah, here we go. You gotta kind of hook it around here and push it down. Maybe. Yeah, they will sit in there. Like if the manual was in color, you'd have a better idea where exactly these are supposed to sit, right? But for now, they kind of sit just on the edges like so. And now I'm going to grab what's called T23. Let me find this one, another long part. T23. And K17 and 18, which are what I just used, but bigger, right? So with this one, then once again I'm doing what I did before. It drops in like this. Drop it in here. Make sure it can move. Yeah, click. And onto these ball joints, I'm putting these armor parts. Okay. We do know when we saw the third form, the unchained form, the legs kind of opened up. So I'm assuming, you know, that's kind of what we're starting to see here. So keep that there like so. Another T part, T19. Lots of like little hooks and stuff on the side of the leg here. This is just, you know, the side of one leg, and you're meant to do this times 2. So we'll get to that in a second. I need F1 and F5. F1. There's F1 and F5. Where are you? F5. F3, F5. Like so. So there's undergates here. Let me flip this over and find them. There's one, here's one. And I'm going to do some work with this. Okay. As well as here, right? Okay. Now, what I gotta do with my T19 is I have to kind of drop it onto here. It says kind of hook it on, so let's see if I can do that. Then I have to put on this part, which will easy enough kind of click into that part right there, that little tab. That's a good fit in there, right? And then this one goes on here. Come on. snap. And there's the side of the leg. Now you're going to do that twice in preparation for, you know, this other leg you're doing. So I'm going to do it once, and then we're going to repeat the process for the outside of the leg. So the other half of the leg is the same process. So give me a second. I'm just going to turn off the camera so you guys don't have to watch me assemble the same thing like 3 to 4 times. Alright, I'm putting the last of these on here. Hopefully we'll get the right effect once it's on. And now that means I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got these 4 leg parts here. Of course I've got the back thruster parts as well as hip joints. So I'm still working on the ×2 here, so let me move all these off to the side. The table's getting crowded here now. I'm still working with the Q runner and the T runner. So I need these. This is what's Q10, and I'm going to need Q11. Let me just rip these out here. Probably should have cut these out before, but you know, T6, this one, T6, T13, like this. There are some under gates on these parts, it says, but not so much the other ones. And Q2, which is this one. So, of course, this being a joint of some kind, I'm going to need to use these palm parts and these PC parts. So first, let me just make sure I got no under gates here. Okay, there's actually 2 on this one. If these are going to close up, I better make sure the under gates are gone, otherwise they're going to prevent the thing from sealing completely. So palm 4 and PC 5, that's palm 4, PC 5. Alright, so like so, PC 5 goes in from this side, palm 4 goes in from this side, like this, and then I'm going to put it onto here, but it's not going to stay really securely until I get the next part on. And this is T13. It's supposed to click in there and sit in here, and it's going to move. Right? Okay. Now, my T6 piece, which is the lower part, I need PC3 and the POM piece, palm 6. Let's make sure I get the right one. Okay, so palm goes in this side, PC goes in this side, and now with that in place, I can put it on here, and you can see kind of how these kind of lay out next to each other. And then I'm going to close it up. Of course, I'm pushing against the poly caps and stuff, right? There's going to be that resistance. That's what I'm looking for. Be careful here. There's nothing in the middle, so if you're pushing here, you could bend or break something. So don't do that, please. But this is what my joint is looking like. It can bend, right? But I'll put it back to the neutral position first here. Okay. With that, I need T14 and 15. T14 and 15 appear to be very small. Here they are. This is 15, this is 14. I don't want to mix them up, so I'll put 14 on this side, like in the manual. I'll put 15 on this side, and I need T7 and 8, so I'll get those as well. T7 and 8. T7, T8. I have a look at my num marks. It doesn't indicate there's any undergates on these pieces, so I don't have to be too careful. Okay, so T14, it goes in here, this little hollow, and then it's in this groove, right? This one will go in and kind of couple together with it and hold it there. Now, these things will move something when when the joint starts to bend, I imagine. But I think I'm going to need it up in that position to start. So now this lines up in here. Now they made a big deal about the knee joint on this unicorn is much better than the master grade one, because if you recall, the master grade joint, well, the knee couldn't bend very far, that's for sure. And then they tried to make some adjustments when they released the OVA version, and it didn't really change it too much. So when they were promoting their PG unicorn, they made a big point of mentioning that the knee joint is kind of all new and will be able to move and bend. So we're going to find that out very soon here. You can see I've got my joint already bending. Boom. Now I'm not sure where that's supposed to like go. It's probably that groove there, but it didn't seem to sit in there when I was pushing. There it is. Quite easier that way, and that's better. When I laid them on here, it wasn't quite getting in the right spot in the groove, but when I moved it, you saw it pop out, so I managed to get it in the right spot there. So T number 1 does not have any undergates. This is part of the okay, taking this piece here, slide it down onto here. So it's to make sure that this edge is kind of down below. So slide that on. Oh, I even heard a snap there. I was kind of surprised actually. Now I need cycle frame parts here. I need 10 and 11, which are these two. And it doesn't matter if there's any undergates on these ones, but I will double check, of course. 10 and 11. 2. And I need K8, which is this piece here. It's like a cap, a top. So what it's having me do is take this and put them together. It says put them together first. Like so. Put this cap on. Interesting. Just a little indent here that marks the bottom, although there's a little hollow there which also marks the bottom, so it marks the edge. So I wasn't sure which way it would go because the manual didn't have a good angle. But from here, I have to slide it in. Is that what I'm doing? Slide it in here. Oh, yep, it goes. Slides in. You can see it's coming out, right? It's actually clipped in and it's not coming out like it can move, but it's not coming out. It stays back there. It's actually clipped in now. It's pretty resistant to being pulled around, which is good. It's not going to flop all over the place. So now I need some knee armor. F7 and T16 here. T10, sorry, T10. Grab these two. Alright, let's have a look at my edges. Pretty good to me. So I'm going to put one inside the other here. Oh wait, undergates. Don't let me forget the undergates, everybody. They're pretty important. So. That doesn't click in, but it's still really tight. Peekity, push this in, pop. There you go. Now I've got the first part of the knee. Now the next part looks like they're having me work on ankles. So again, looks like we're just doing little sections here. T5. K12, which does have an undercase. Stay indicate. And then the U-runner. This is the last pieces on my U-runner here, so I gotta grab those. I'm kind of glad that I'm going through runners pretty quickly. As the build progresses, I'll be more sure of what I'm supposed to be looking for and be a little quicker. So U-runner's finished. I'm back there. Now I need PC20. Let's grab that. PC20. Now there are some other gates on the cycle frame, I believe. Yep, yeah. Okay, so it says I will need to assemble this joint here. Slide the bottom cap in there, close it up. Not liking this gate mark. Then you do that, and I kind of have to pull this. Get the gray back. So I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. Put this in here. Like that. And then this groove at the front, it says, slide this in. Okay, now I've got, this looks like the lower half of the leg. Of course, this would be the knee down here, the cycle frame. Now I've got the extra parts I needed, and I just have to assemble them first by just sliding this on from the front. Very easy. This can go on now, snap, and then these two pieces will go on either side in preparation for putting on the foot. Now, in the manual, this is the part where it says you're finished with the ×2, like assembling both legs at the same time. You can see that's what I've done here. Next step is to actually work on the legs individually, and the first one will be the right leg. This has been a good session, so I'm going to stop right here.